This is history. The Chief Rabbinate of Africa presents the Siddur Sambatayim. The Siddur, neither Sephardic nor Ashkenazi but Afriki. Reconnect with the pure ancestral traditions of your Banu Israelite ancestors, with a new sack of tefillah that perfectly combines the halakhot of the Mishnah and the minhagim of the Mekabalim, with a new sack of Afriki. Live the Black Man Torah, with the first Siddur published and printed in Africa. To grab your Siddur, only one address: Beth Nesset, Adat Yisrael Synagogue, Lagos, 27 Canal View Drive, Agoi-Koda off Ago Palace Way, Lagos, Nigeria. Mobile number, +2348035382223. Only 35,000 naira, delivery included.
Okay, shalom, shalom, shalom lekulam. I'm brother Yohanan, and this is Dovrei Torah. Okay, I hope everybody is doing well. Hope everybody had a wonderful Shabbat. Hope everybody is going to have a good week. Shabbat Tov lekulam. Now, today we are going to have this new episode, this new series from the Chief Rabbinate, from the C.R.O.A. of Africa. In this new series, we're going to interview brothers, hopefully have some Dovrei Emet on the show, okay? Now, I'm going to talk to you a little piece about myself. I'm brother Yohanan. I'm from the diaspora in France. I'm English speaking. I also speak French, also speak African language, Lingala, a little piece of Kikongo. But we'll get to know each other a bit more on later dates. For today, we are going to be interviewing one of the chief rabbis who's been placed in a very important position, which is the C.R.O.A. of Africa in Israel. Okay, C.R.O.A., Chief Rabbi of Africa in Israel. Now, I'm talking about Rabbi Mordechai CHAZAN, Rabbi Mordechai CHAZAN, who's going to be appearing on our show in a little piece. Let me just set the table for him. From what I know, talk about his background. His background is of African American origin, from LA. From what I understand, he is from a bit of a hood side of LA, and I gather this from watching brother Tazariak's show. Brother Mordechai, are you there? Are you with me? Right, Chief Rabbi Mordechai, shalom, shalom.
How are you, brother? How are you doing?
I'm all good, man. I'm all good. How's you? How's yourself?
It's great. I'm in Jerusalem right now, and so it's a lot of different things going on. Like we're in the middle of a war on like different fronts, and we just found out like 6 of the hostages were executed, and they found their bodies. So that's it's kind of a a tone. But other than that, everything with an amazing Shabbat here, a lot of Torah, a lot of these types of things. So everything God willing should just only get better.
Well, Baruch Hashem, I hope you get better, man. Through the work of the Torah, through through the tikkun, hopefully things will be better in the very near future, right? Now, from what I gather is there are a few projects that have been put into place. I'm going to leave you the floor to speak on it, and I'll chip in anytime there's a question, anytime there's a question in the chat. Feel free, brothers and sisters, to ask any questions, or if there's more clarification to be had on a certain issue, on a certain subject that he touches on, feel free to leave the comment. Okay, brother Rabbi Mordechai, it's on you.
Yeah. So there's a few things to address. So the basis of this conversation, maybe if you mute a little bit on yours. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so and just jump back in. So the point is saying that there's a few issues to talk about, right? So number one, under the leadership and guidance of Chief Rabbi Pinchas Eliyahu, we established a few things over the last probably year and a half, that we've been working on. But the conversations and the building process have been going on for over 3 to 4 years now, and one of which is my appointment to Chief Rabbi of the African American community, right? So the mechanism is what we're going to discuss. What is this mechanism? How did we get here? What's the functionality? And it will lead into the recent appointment of me being a representative of the Chief Rabbinate here in Jerusalem in Israel, right? It all connects. So the thing is like this. So one of the things that Chief Rabbi Pinchas Eliyahu, he talks about a lot is, he really challenges the system of leadership, right? In a lot of his shiurim, you can see it online. But one of the base ideas to understand why there needs to be a chief rabbinate of the African American community, or my appointment there, is to look at it from a much bigger perspective, right? And that perspective is not just about the question is, well, how can you be the chief rabbi of African American community where most African Americans are not Jewish and they don't identify as Jewish? That's one idea, right? And second idea is like, what are you even trying to accomplish? What's the functionality, right? Are we proselytizing? Are we trying to convince people to be Jewish? Like, what's the whole concept, right? So if you go back into a lot of the shiurim that from Rabbi Pinchas, Chief Rabbi Pinchas, is that you'll see this idea of being able to really reconstruct what leadership is, right? And what leadership is needed, going forward in this era, right? So I'm also going to be speaking from my perspective too as well, right? Meaning that, like, I'm going to add my point. So if you go to maybe Rabbi Pinchas' shiur, you're not going to hear it exactly in the way I'm saying it, because I'm speaking from my perspective as well, right? Which is supported in our organization. So the thing is saying that when we think about society, right, and we think about the society that we have basically grown up in, it's a society built around this concept of permission, right? Or Rabbi Pinchas uses the word merits, right? This is the society that, so you have to have certain permission or a certain amount of merits to be able to progress into society, right? So when you read the book of Genesis, right, and you hear about the entire Torah, and you hear about the beginning of creation and all these different things that were being created, you hear about God creating the waters, you hear about God creating livestock, you hear about God, creating about agriculture, fish, all these different things were given to us in essence as a present from God, as a matana from Hashem, right? Like everything, all of creation. Now, because human beings have free will, there's been different groups of men, of people that have went to different parts of the world and says, hey, all of these different aspects of society that God has given to us, we're going to go and take control of these things. And if people want these things, they got to come to us to get it, right? It's like a similar idea, like, in Egypt, Pharaoh, right? Yosef, all the grain, right? All the other nations knew that there was going to be a famine, right? But only the grain that Yosef had, right, was the one that maintained, and they redistributed it out to the world, right? But that was something that it was an equal basis, right? Everyone had the same grain, but Yosef's grain was blessed, right? Because of his connection to God. So it's the same thing over here in the opposite way, right? Through greed and vanity and barbarism, right? There's been people who took resources and redistributed them out. Now, part of the system to get those resources, right? Because if I don't drink water and I don't eat food, I'm going to die. If I don't have shelter, my chances of survival or living a healthy life are very slim, right? And so this system of distribution of these resources is basically what everyone's living underneath. Everyone all over the planet Earth is living under various systems where there's been collective groups of people, whether it's through conquest, whether it's through inheritance, have controlled resources and then created systems that we have to engage in order to be able to basically sustain our well-being, right? So this is where the process of permission or the process of merits come in. So in order for me to be able to earn, to make money, right? a currency, I got to go to school. I got to be educated, right? In order for me to go to be educated, I just gave this talk over Shabbat to a group of teachers, at a meal. It's like this idea of the report card, right? So once your child has a report card and some third party is now telling them who they are and what they're about and how well they do something, now you just took away their uniqueness, their self-identification. Now you're giving it to an institution, right? So as a young child, I'm trained to give away my uniqueness to an institution, and that uniqueness that I'm giving away to an institution is now this new validation system, right? So every stage that I go in this system, I have to ask for permission, or they tell me you have enough merits, right? So in America, that's K through 12. And if you do really good at it, you could go to a graduate school and do it for another 4 years, right? And if you're really good at that, you could do it for another 4 years, right? So the point is saying this is the reality. So all the education that exists is geared towards people working and being able to afford the resources that were basically captured by various different groups of people around planet Earth, right? And so that's what we live underneath, right? And we're going to go somewhere. But the point is saying it's important to understand this, because when we look at the challenges that we have in society, this is just one way of living, right? This isn't the whole system, right? And when you look inside of the education system, nothing about the education system connects us or teaches us about our uniqueness, how to find our uniqueness, the fact that we are here in this world for a creative purpose, right? That we all have a correction. We have tikkunim, right? We have to come here in this world to correct our souls. The fact that we have two different realities that we can live in. We can live in the Etz Chaim, the tree of life reality, or we could live in the world of the Eitz Das, right? The world of good and bad. All these different things that make up our reality and our perception to live at our highest level are not even a part of the education system. It's never talked about. No one talks about the soul, the 5 dimensions of the soul, what the soul needs. They'll tell me what the body needs, right? Because that's connected to production, right? So I'm teaching Torah right now too, right? I'm not just talking about an appointment. We're teaching Torah, right? And so we're saying that we grow up in that world. So now we're in a time in history where the ball game has changed, right? And there's a whole new set of conditions. And so we see, even in the presidential elections in the United States, that the leadership, the model of leadership that exists no longer has a place. Because now the human evolution is now looking for define itself from internal meanings, right? From an internal standpoint, right? And that's what we're looking to define ourselves on. So the people who have the information about the inner self are the leaders in this era of society. Before, when it was society based around production, based around permission, you don't need permission to learn at Harvard anymore. You could just Google it, right? You could Google all the information, all the classes they're learning at Yale and Cambridge, and all this. You can learn them yourself, the whole thing. You could go online. You don't need permission. In a way you do, because you still need electricity, right? And in order to get electricity, you got to pay for it. But the bottom line is still saying that level of permission is not needed. And so the creation of the Chief Rabbinate of Africa and I'm gonna land it. Just give me just 30 more seconds. The Chief Rabbinate of Africa is dealing with the indentured people in Africa who define themselves as Israelites and Jews and bringing them resources. No one's doing that. The communities, the organizations that exist in Africa are there dealing with tourists, and they're dealing with communities that were formed based off of trade opportunities, right? Economic situation. So they're dealing with that. In the United States, I'm saying that the leadership that the African American community has is not leadership. The leadership in America is not leadership. So the wisdom that I've been able to obtain through the learnings with Christina Kadisha, right? And Rabbi Pinchas, Chief Rabbi Pinchas, and in all the other yeshivot and all the other places I had the places to learn, that puts me at the cream of the crop of leadership, because I actually have wisdom that could give people an alternative other than the system of permission that we've been given. So go ahead.
Ken, that was lovely, man. There was a few points that that I raised the question. For example, you said how in our curriculum, like in school, and that we're not really taught basically science of the soul in the school system from childhood. We're not really taught like the keys to many things that you mentioned. Now, is that the case also in Israel? Because I would expect that from living in diaspora in France, in England. That's basically where I done that's basically where I attended school. So are you also talking about Israel? Don't they teach these things there in Israel, like the importance of the soul and who we are and the tikkunim? Do they not teach that in school system in Israel?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, you have institutions that teach this stuff, even in the United States. I mean, there's yeshivas, there's different things like this. There's Breslov communities, Chabad communities, all these different things. So, I mean, these teachings exist. What I'm saying is, in terms of a mainstream component, right? That every person is a descendant of Adam, right? Everyone
Yes,
is a
sir.
descendant of Adam, right? And so that being a descendant of Adam means you have a soul, right? And then that means that your soul has needs, just like your body has needs, right? And so I'm saying if you're building say a government policy or understanding of God or an environment where people could achieve a higher quality of life, and that's not the main basis of your projection and strategy, you're not offering a strategy, right? You're adding more chaos and you're bringing people more pain by creating solutions that only deal with 50% of their existence. That doesn't even acknowledge their inner self.
Can definitely agree with that. So so we're basically, what you're proposing is I'll let you rock out, brother. Go through.
Yeah. Maybe if you go on mute, it will have the less the thing. So okay, on you hear that? Yeah, there you go. Okay, so the thing is saying, so that's the basis of the mechanism of the rabbinute, the chief rabbinute position that I was given in the United States is based off of that declaration that the men of wisdom, right, is where society, those are the people society should cling to, right? Talks about this in the Gemara and Brachos, I think it's Dav 7, that the sum of all of men, right? What is the purpose of all of men, right? One of the perspectives is given is saying that that society, once they see a God-fearing man, right, who fears the Torah, who fears God, who keeps the Torah with love, right, and he's dedicated himself to the mission of God that God has for every man, which is tikkunim, which is correction, right? That all of society should cling to that person, right? And so that's what this is what this represents. So people could say, oh, well, this person knows more of this, and they learned Shas, 80 times, and this person was doing this 30, 40 years ago, and that's fine. We're in a place of wisdom, right? And that's the position that we're coming with, and we're saying that is the most important thing. So I want to progress that point to understand that's the mechanism of the Chief Rabbinate of America, right? That's a position that's a vision that Rabbi Pinchas Eliyahu has in terms of his leaders are men of wisdom, right? And that's the perspective of why I'm in that position in the United States. Second point is to address this whole thing that we've started in this recent announcement. I'm not going to go into detail, but it comes out of a lot of difficulties. It came out of the lack of security that many African Americans have inside of the Jewish world, because there isn't really a lot of rabbinical representation. Many people are blended into other communities, so sometimes when things happen, there's no one there to support, to protect, right? To give, to create a dynamic of support, right? And so out of that, it would create even a bigger question, right? Would create a bigger question because, in the African American community, there was a time, during, like, say, my grandparents, right, and my great grandparents, there were times where Jews and African Americans were very close, right? They were marching for the same things in the United States and all these different, dynamics. and civil rights. You know, there's even Jews that died, you know, in that fight, you know, with the racist people in
Are you
America.
referring to Rabbi Wentworth's time, around them times?
What? Say it again.
Are you referring to Rabbi Wentworth times? You know, the community they had in New York. Do you know who Rabbi Wentworth is?
Yeah, I've heard about it. Yeah, I heard about it.
Yeah. Because them guys, they were very, very, you know, close to Judaism. They're actually the founders of what they call today One West, the Hebrew Israelite groups who, you know, they deviated, but yeah, they were originally close to very close to Judaism, right?
Yeah. I think we may be talking about something different. I'm specifically talking about during the times of Rabbi Abraham Hessel marching with Martin Luther King in Montgomery, Alabama, and you know things like the NAACP being created by, you know, Jews and these different types of dynamics. But anyways, the point is just saying that what has changed fundamentally in that relationship is a lot of things. One is the Jews in America, you know, post 1967, after the 7-Day War, that a lot of the attention towards Israel and amongst, you know, American Jews, you know, started to shift, right? So that's one area, right? Second area is, you know, the foreign policy of America in the Middle East, along with the growth of Israel, changed tremendously as well, right? So there was a lot of different there was a lot of different points in this foreign policy shift, because now, you know, you have issues in Iran, you have issues now obviously with the Palestinians and the Israelis, you know, you have, you know, issues, you know, you have Iraq, you know, you have this whole thing with the wealth growing in Saudi Arabia and Kuwait and Qatar and a lot of these places. So there's a lot of things going on in the Middle East, and there's a lot of people going in a lot of different directions. And so that those policy shifts, you know, became a big deal for the determination for all those people in that region in different ways, different families, different organizations. And so the engagement politically with the American population became a very big issue with, you know, Middle Eastern governments, right? Like even today, Qatar spends billions of dollars in U.S. universities, right, to be able to influence, you know, foreign policy in these types of things, right? And so what has happened, what has happened is that a lot of those messages that are anti-Israel, that become anti-Jewish, you know, are a byproduct of people from the other part of the world who want to influence our political system or the political system in America, right? To be able to lean in particular ways. And everyone does it. Everyone's involved in American politics because it's such a big governing institution around the world. But the point is the same. So that dynamic is the shift, right? So now you see today, because of that shift, you see a lot of what we would call anti-Semitism, anti-American rhetoric, you know, even communist type thoughts, even support of terrorism, these types of things. And so now there's a huge divide amongst the African American community in some areas, and the Jewish community, right? And so this separation is really an opportunity, right? And this is where we're going into this idea of a project that we're launching. The project is called Melchizedek, right? We'll go into that. But the idea of Melchizedek in this project is to say, hey, in essence, this is an opportunity to sketch out a series of opportunities that exist inside of the state of Israel, that the state of Israel is looking to advance and to promote and to expand, and be able to put those collective opportunities, whether they're in the private sector, they're in the civic sector, they're in the public sector, and being able to take those opportunities and those individuals and create a cohort, right? And by being able to create a cohort of those opportunities, now we could go back to America and engage, you know, the American private, civic, and public sector and say, hey, there's some opportunities, because there's a lot of politics that exist inside of the Black community that are influenced by foreign governments. And so to be able to get past that is very similar to the same methodology that was used in the Abraham Accord during the time of Trump, right? And during the time of Trump, the Abraham Accord was in essence, the UAE and Bahrain and in these places and these affiliates connected to them saying, hey, the politics that's going on is really stopping us from benefiting each other business-wise, and to benefit our societies and benefit our infrastructure. So what we're saying now is that we want to have an African-American Abraham Accord, but we're calling it Melchizedek Project. And the Melchizedek Project is basically the merging of the needs and opportunities that exist in the African-American world and the needs and the opportunities that exist with the state of Israel. And by doing this, we create a closer and stronger union between the two countries, and we start a new conversation that is devoid of the politics that exist that created certain groups of the African American community to almost be full blown out anti-Semites, right? Unfortunately, right? And so that dynamic is in essence like where we're at with it. And so that's the establishment of the Chief Rabbi Pinchas Eliyahu and myself and many of the other committee members. This is the vision that we have to move things forward.
All right, I think that sounds wonderful. It sounds fantastic. Sounds ambitious. There's a lot of work to be done. I will highlight that I feel that this is just my my opinion, that you're going to have a lot of to work. You're going to have to work on a lot of trust issues because as you said, there's been a lot of propaganda. Some might be true, some might not, on Israel itself. And a lot of African Americans, or just a lot of Black folks, have come to this, how can I say it? They're wary of the state of Israel. So we're going to have to build the trust. The trust needs to be built back up. What do you think of that?
Yeah, the thing is like, whenever you talk about like creating a movement, right? And a new way of thinking, right? There's a few stages to it. One stage is that you have a pioneer, right? And that's the Melchizedek Project, right? And the pioneer is there, it's making noise, and people are seeing it, they're hearing about it, like kind of like what we're doing now, we're making noise, we're in the frame of a pioneer. But then you have early adapters, right? And the early adapters, a lot of times connect with the pioneer, not because of how great the pioneer is, but how much the values and the ideas of the pioneer reflect their personal agendas, right? And what they want to achieve. So there's already groups of people that are already engaged with, the state of Israel, and there's people that are looking to be engaged, and people who are a lot of, our Christian evangelical brothers and a lot of the Muslims who want to see peace, came from a lot of these totalitarian communities like, like Iran and Iraq and these types of places, also want to join into these things. And there's a lot of, people in the Black church that are very big supporters of Israel, you know what I mean? And these types of things, right? And so the thing with trust is we're more in the frame of movement, right? Because those early adapters are the ones who bring in the skeptic masses, right? So the skeptic masses see the early adapters and like, hey, you know what? There's a binding point between us both. Maybe that binding point here is making money, right? And then when the skeptical masses get involved, then it goes to that next level, which is the mundane masses that just kind of like go along with it. So right now in this chapter in history, there's a big separation between the state of Israel and African American communities on a superficial level, right? But in depth, there's a very, very common bond and a common, sense of self-determination. And in our efforts, that's what we're going to bring together is those two, the inner self of the Jewish community and the Black community. We're going to bring those together and strengthen the bond between the United States and Israel.
Ken, that sounds, it sounds beautiful to my ears, man. But like I said, there is going to be a lot of rebuilding. There's going to be a lot of work to be done, a lot of trust issues. We need to see more brothers. And this is why I like the whole project, the whole C.R.O.A project, because we're able to bring in a lot of, you know, like African Americans or, you know, black rabbanim to come together and put, you know, our traditions and our musar, our own minhag together, so we can actually present it to the future generations who would want to, you know, pave the way for the next generation, man. And it's very important that we have a leg in Israel. Like the position you're now standing in is very, very crucial to the whole movement, because why? You're gonna be the face, basically representing the work behind what the other brothers are doing as well. So, you know, it's a deep project. It's a deep project, and like, if you can explain a bit more, like, for example, what can we expect? Like, can somebody expect to like join up the program and go through conversions and, you know, learn the language, learn what can we expect?
Yeah. So, you know, I guess like, you know, I guess in closing, I guess it's like, you know, towards the end of it, I guess, for us. But to answer your question is, you know, I think it's a unique time where, you know, when you think about the Black experience, you know, you think about the African American experience, and you think about all the work and efforts that were done, like, say, by my ancestors in North America. You know, the writing letters to different governments around the world, you know, the protest, the peaceful protest, all the different forms of subjugation, you know, that, you know, African Americans had to go through. And to be in an era today where we can take that history and open up a new chapter, which is, hey, we as a community can negotiate ourselves, right? We could go and work with different nation states. We could go and work with different people. People could work directly with us in our communities, right? And we can leverage that in every place in the world, because as an African American, we have goodwill all over the world. We are everyone from Martin Luther King to Barack Obama to Jay-Z, Beyonce. You know what I'm saying? And it's like that's who we are. And if you go back in our history, we could say Marcus Garvey, or you could say Malcolm X, or you could say, you know, Frederick Douglass, you know, and all these different, you know, people that have come, you know, throughout history that have contributed so much to that. So now we're in a conversation where, you know, there's so much. I mean, the African American community, you know, has over $1 trillion in buying power, right? And they affect pretty much every presidential election, hands down, right? And not only presidential election, even local elections, congressional people, Senate, these types of things. When America spreads democracy around the world, it's the African American story of coming through slavery, coming through Jim Crow, achieving financial success, fighting for equality. This is what they use to sell the rest of the world on. It's the Black experience, right? The Constitution itself doesn't come alive without the Black experience, right? So this is the position that African Americans are in. So now we're saying that, you know, me as, you know, their chief rabbi, right? Because only a rabbi can guide them, right? When I say guide them, the community, right? Because you have to have a holistic understanding of creation and the human being to even make one good decision for them, let alone a business model, right? Let alone a quality of life enhancement system, right? So that's where we're at, right? So yes, we're negotiating with the context of the state of Israel, because it's imperative that this bond becomes deeper and closer even on the grassroots level. But past even just this, the entire Middle East also needs to have solidarity, right? And either European nations and African nations. But the point is just saying, in Asian nations, of course, everywhere democracy is at, you know, the African American community should be there and should be a part of the wealth creation that's happening there, right? So I'm not coming to people just saying like, hey, you know, read this verse and these things. Yes, these things are important. But one of the things we learn by, you know, learning the Torah with Chief Rabbi Pinchas Eliyahu is this idea of being able to put it into action, to see everything in the frame of Kabbalah, to see everything in the frame of Torah, right? Politics, business, innovations, technology, everything should be a part of that. So this is the perspective that we all have, we share, we speak about it on a weekly basis. We've been building for years before we even got to this point. When people talk about my relationship with the Rabbinate of Africa, right? Many of the board members I've known for several years prior, right? We were all in Israel together. We're all learning. We're all in Jerusalem. So now they've expanded all over the world. And so that same connection of that Torah is still here. And obviously we're still learning these things. But the key point is a time for the African American to see itself in a new light and to see its value based off of its history to the rest of the world. And that's what we're going to be able to monetize, with this situation, with this appointment that Chief Rabbi Pinchas, has put me in position to. And this is the vision that we're doing, but it's all to help. You know what I mean? It's all to help. It's all to add value, and that's it. And that's our goals.
Bezrat Hashem, with the help of the Most High, man. He's got you, man. That was it's an ambitious move, and I like it. It's very bold, as usual, from the C.R.O.A, from the Chief Rabbi of Africa, our Master Rabbi Pinchas Eliyahu Shaddai. The work is cut out. The work is cut out. I would say, what you mentioned about the African Americans is perfect example. It's but the one thing that we lack, that I feel like we lack in the Black community, is a sense of unity, right? A sense of unity. We basically have no leaders. Why? Because if I said A, you would say B, he would say C, and we would get through the whole alphabet. But that's just my opinion. That's just my humble opinion. Bezrat Hashem, Chief Rabbi could probably come into the studio to actually finish this off and take this in the direction he would like this to take, because we've made this interview in under an hour. It's about 10 minutes left. And it's been all good, man, and I like the content. If there's any questions from any brothers and sisters in the comments, please write it in the comments, and Rabbi Pinchas will put it on the screen for me, because I actually can't see the comments, and we'll do it like that. Rabbi Mordechai, can you hear me?
Yep.
I just wanted to mention also that I hope the family is doing well. I hope your security is all good, because from the last situation, I actually we was actually worried for you, man. I was actually worried, because things got quite serious, and I hope the family is all well, man. I hope you've been good.
Well, we just we've been in the middle of a war, for the last 300 plus days, and so it's just been a war zone. I've seen everything from ballistic missiles, being shot right in front of my window, looking at ballistic missiles on drones, to people having a problem with the Torah that we're teaching, and wanting to physically even assault me. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to get into that. I don't want to talk about it so much, but it's just saying that these types of things, are that, yeah.
Right. We got a comment on the screen. I'll just read it. Agreed. Rabbi Wentworth Matthew and many Black Jews held and still hold fast to Torah and Halakha. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. That's why I mentioned it. Shifts primarily come from lack of acknowledgement as Jews by Euro Jewry in America without conforming. Yeah, that's a bit what I'm saying, man. It's sadly there's gonna have to be this talk of reconciliation, and why African Americans tend to not really trust. Let's just say it as it is. They don't really trust Judaism, which is sad. It's sad. And yeah, maybe we can get to enlighten a few things on another date. But it is something that I've seen also, man. There's very lack of trust, and it's something that you're gonna come, that you're gonna come against it directly, because there's gonna be a lot of lashon hara, a lot of ayin hara. You know how it goes. You're living in a war zone, like you just said, man. So it's been.
Yeah, the thing is, there's a lot to talk about with the history of African Americans and different. It's a whole big story. That's why I didn't go into it. But I just wanted people to understand, what we're trying to do on a front level, right? And we're dealing with real issues. That's why being the chief rabbi of the African American community is not just being able to read a few Bible verses and some ideas, some halacha from the Gemara or the Shulchan Aruch. It's about saying, no, how can I provide opportunities through the wisdom of the Torah that can improve the qualities of these people's lives and bringing them as a community into a place of peace, right? Into a place of healing, right? And so that's that. And then once you get into that, there'll be some people who are into Torah. We're not here to proselytize. We're not here to tell black people they should become Jews or anything like that. No, you are perfect the way that you are. When God tells Moses, stand where you're at because where you're standing is holy, that is a statement about all of us in our lives. We're all living the perfect life that we're supposed to be living. If somebody wants to learn about Judaism, feel free to talk to me, talk to other rabbis. We can help people on those journeys, but that is not the objective. The objective is to raise the quality of life for the communities that we take accountability and responsible for. So I'm responsible for the African American community. It's not about chief, like just sitting on the throne. It's about saying, like, no, I'm in service, right? I'm in service to the African American community as an Orthodox Jew, as an Orthodox rabbi. I'm in service, and I'm focused on improving the quality of life for those people.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I know you can do this, man. I know you've got it. Well, thanks a lot. Thank you very much. Toda Rabba, Chief Rabbi Mordechai.
Is Rabbi Pinchas coming on or no? Is Rabbi Pinchas coming on?
Well, I was hoping he would come on. I've given him the opportunity, and I don't know if he might not have heard, or
fair
might,
enough.
He might want us to.
Well, but anyway, it was great talking. I was going to say, it's great talking to you. It was an honor speaking with you and sharing this time. And, we just got a lot of work to do. You know what I mean? I've been giving classes all day. We're doing this. We got a lot of work to do. But now that we have messages like this that we could put out, that, when I talk to Knesset members, I could send them videos like this so they could, hear the conversation, in other organizations and these types of things on both sides, with the African American side and the Israeli side. And so I appreciate sharing this time with you. And God willing, we have another conversation more about the relationship between the African American community and the tribes of Israel and the Igbos and all the different tribes in the west of Africa, and Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky's ruling on how they reacclimate, right, and all those things. We could go into all that at another time, but it nevertheless is great. You should have an amazing week, and we should be in touch.
Amazing. We stay in touch, Rabbi, man. Amazing. Toda Rabba.
All the best. All the best.
Well, as you've all heard it there's a lot of work to be done. There's the brothers, serious work to be done. There's a lot of explanations. Maybe if you have a question, if something seems a bit, like a topic that we go into, for example, I'd like to know that we can do to build the bridges. Now, these things are very simple, like chat, say, very simple. We deal with pennies, pounds take care of themselves. It's basically, we deal with the cents, the dollar will take care of themselves. If we deal with the smaller things like trust issues, like why Why is there this distrust? You know, why do we need this whole the whole chief rabbinate to represent us in Israel? Now, these are all good, good conversations